Welcome, everyone, to Committed, the College Admissions Playbook. We're flipping the script a little bit today. So, Rennie is here with me, as always, but because we're going to hear a lot from him later, I decided to take the intro today.
You did a great job, John. Great
Hey,
job.
you know what? I mean, I can never live up to how you do things, so I'm trying my best here,
Don't believe
but
that at all.
I am excited. And so, Rennie and I, we go way back. We own the same business. We've known each other for what right now? 5, 6 years ish,
At least, yeah.
at least. And, you know, obviously we are colleagues, but for the majority of our relationship, we've been friends. And, we have our differences geographically, but
Oh, okay.
everything that we have done, and I feel like a lot of our backgrounds do share similarities. So I'm actually excited because I know a bit about kind of your background, but I'm excited and I'm excited to allow you to share to our 17 listeners or our 19 viewers.
Yeah. Might be
We
down to 10 after this interview, but that's okay.
Now I doubt it. So I had my spotlight moment last episode, and we were able to share kind of my story and my impactful moments. And now this is your turn, my friend.
Well, it was
So
your birthday last time, so we had to celebrate
it,
after.
it was my birthday last time. You just had a birthday.
I did just have a birthday as well.
Did
So
the ladies in your life spoil you?
they did as always. They did as always. So my daughter and my two daughters and my wife were very good to me. So good to be it's better than the alternative, as they say. It's always good to celebrate your birthday.
That's it. Now, I would never ask how old you are, but everybody's telling me 50 is the new 35, 40 is the new 25. So
Yeah.
where are you feeling at this point in life?
I think 51 feels like the new 41.
Yeah,
51 feels like the new 41. So feels good. I enjoy it. I don't mind the gray beard. I don't mind the bald head. And I don't mind telling people I'm 51 years old. It's all good.
it's
So
all about the mindset.
that's right. That's
Truly as
exactly
young as you feel.
right. And the only way to
Okay.
be wiser in life is to live longer with life in life. So there you go.
Good. There's days where I definitely feel older than I am. And then there's a few glimpses where I'm like, you know what? I have that pep in my step.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's the mind is willing, but the body is not always. It's
Yeah.
inconsistent. It's inconsistent as we get older, but the mind is always there. It's just sometimes the body is like, well, hold on a second, you're not 31 anymore. So,
No, we have more days behind us than ahead, sadly.
yeah.
All right,
And
my friend. So, what we're all dying to know. So, you are owner of a Class 101 franchise, actually, multiple Class 101 franchises,
right.
incredibly successful, incredibly ambitious. What we all want to know, do you mind sharing kind of what have you done to get you to this point in your career, personally and professionally?
Yeah, that's a big question, and we'll probably take a whole podcast on how I got to where I am today. Success is relative, right? So, you can always, I try to avoid the comparison trap. So I think that's the number one thing that in my life I've learned as a 51-year-old. I don't try. It's very important to me not to fall into the comparison trap in my life, whether it's you know, anything, right? You live in your place and you zero in on your place and your calling, your purpose, and you make the most of that. So I think that's important for me. Is I look at the businesses we run, I look at my family, I look at my daughters, my marriage, I look at my faith, I look at my relationships, whatever it is. I don't fall
Yeah.
into the comparison trap. That being said, I grew up in a small town in northeastern Oklahoma, very very low income, and single mom who busted her rear and did her absolute best, and had some mentors in my life. My father died at a young age, or my young age. My father died, and had mentors in my life that still believed that and helped me dream about what was possible. Um, so that was important for me to be where I am. I would not be where I am at today without mentors walking alongside my life as a teenage boy to where I am at today. So I think that's the second thing I'd say is I don't fall into the comparison trap. And the second thing is that mentors and people believing in you and challenging you is critical to where you go. And so First generation college student, attended the University of Oklahoma, which that journey definitely had its ups and downs. Learned a lot from failing and experiencing failure. So you can't be scared of failure. It doesn't define you. You got to keep trying. You got to keep running. You got to keep getting up and pursuing your goals and, and pursuing your dreams. And so I think that was another lesson I've learned to get where I'm at. Don't be scared of failure. It's not a verdict. It's just an experience you should learn from and get up and keep going. Spent about 15 years, almost 15 years, probably about 12, at the University of Oklahoma after I graduated. Uh, Worked in admissions there for a few years. Worked in the Health Sciences Center in Oklahoma City, where we have our health science programs, as the head of student affairs there. Then I came back to the Norman campus and served as a dean of students for several years, and was also spent time as the president of the Alumni Association before I transitioned out. But during that time, from the time I attended to the time I left as a professional, I just saw, just the admissions process, gaining a degree, all of those things becoming more complicated, becoming more competitive, and obviously more costly. And so I always had this eye on, man, why does it have to be so hard to make this journey? And about then I started out in my own business, and about 8 years ago, 7 years ago, probably 8 years ago, we started contemplating this idea of a college planning company. And that's when we decided to partner with Class 101 to really help students and families navigate that complicated landscape of college admissions, help them figure out ways to be more competitive in a very competitive process. We do believe still that anyone can complete a college application, but it takes a little bit of an art and a little bit of a insight to create a competitive college application. And in a competitive landscape like college admissions, like we talk about every day, John, on this podcast, that's what we help students do, is put themselves in the most competitive process position possible. And ultimately, what that does is hopefully help lower the cost of college. So that's how I'm here, man. That's a long story that it could go further, but those are some lessons I've learned along the way, and that's how I got to where I am today.
Amen. And I'll tell you what, I appreciate you sharing. And there's so much to unpack there. The first point that you made about, success being relative, and I feel like that's such a powerful statement. And whether it's a 16-year-old that I doubt is watching this, or it's a middle-aged, mom or dad, finding that balance in life and leaving the comparisons at the door, and just taking success for what you want it to be, whether it's financially, whether it's faith-based, whether it's the family stuff. I feel like so many people fall into that trap of comparing themselves, and that, living up with the Joneses type of mindset. And it's such a beautiful way to live.
Yeah, it is so true. In my uh, years of life, I have learned that it true that the old adage that comparison is the thief of joy is the truth, right? And so we encourage our students to think the same way. Why are you paying attention to what other people do? They're on a different trajectory. They're on a different journey. What do you want? What is success? What does happiness mean to you? And they don't know. Like, none of us truly know. But it's not chasing someone else's dreams. It's chasing your dreams, and it's understanding and pursuing your interests. It's not about what Jimmy is doing or what Joni's doing. It's about what you're doing, and living the most into your purpose and potential.
And so much of these generations now, that FOMO, the fear of missing out, like that is such a thing now, that is relevant, and it's an easy trap to fall into.
Yeah. John, I've seen students who, this social media world, where they come in and they're all flustered. And I'm like, what are you flustered about? Well, so and so got admitted to this school, and so got admitted to this school. And I'm like, I didn't think you wanted to go to that school. Well, I don't want to go to that school, but I'm like, why does it matter that
But yeah, what's
schools you could care less about?
well,
Perspective
and
is helpful, I think.
any adult who is trying to talk their kids off the ledge, it's social media is designed to present what you want other people to see. it's
Yeah,
it's very rarely the truth. You
yeah.
never know the story behind it. You never know the filters. And it's just somehow trying to not become consumed by it.
Yeah, that's right.
All
That's
right,
right.
so one question that's really, I'm itching to ask you. So with your experience within admissions, and then obviously the roles that you had at OU, What would you say are some of the biggest differences then versus now?
Oh,
And seeing from two different perspectives. So initially you were on the inside looking out, knowing exactly what they want, what the applicants, were presenting, to then now being on the outside where, we're helping these kids and you have a
sure.
totally different lens. So I would love if you were able to just share some of the differences between then and now.
Well, like, to me, I think no matter what school you're looking at attending, the level of competition is so much greater than when you and I were competing for admissions and competing for scholarships. So much more competitive, and it's competitive in all the ways that matter, in my opinion. Number one, uh, it's not just the classes that students are taking; it's the rigor of those classes. I mean, more and more students are taking the AP classes. More and more students are taking the dual credit classes as online availability gives access to students in every different location, it seems, to take dual credit coursework. And so it's not just the grades they're receiving, it's the classes they're taking that makes their academic rigor of their transcript and their application so much stronger. That's a level of competitive competition, in my opinion, that's only increased. Second area of competition that I think has increased is just the extracurricular side of a student. I'm sure you've seen the video of the dean of admissions of Brown talking about how this is the most credentialed generation that is going through college admissions right now that has ever existed. I mean, they do not, these students, and it's not just at Brown, it's at all the schools. You see, nicely, these students are credentialed. I mean, they're in all the clubs, they're on all the sports, they're doing all the activities, they're doing all this different types of stuff that once again on an application, especially when it's competitively put together, is extremely impressive. And so I think in those two ways alone, and I could go on, those two ways alone, you see how much more competitive this landscape's coming. And that's part of the reason me and you are in business, right? Is to help people position themselves in a way to compete in an extremely competitive college admissions and college scholarships environment.
It's true. As a father, it breaks my heart that it's as competitive as it is. As a business owner,
Yeah.
I'm thrilled, job security for us. And it's something that's constantly changing and constantly evolving. And, that's why we have a business and that's why we have a job because it's just the landscape is ever changing.
See, I'm a little ahead of you. I got teenage daughters. I have a junior and a freshman. And this is exactly what you said. It makes you sad, right? My junior. She came in last night and she was saying goodnight. And I'm leaving to facilitate a retreat. And I will be right after this, and I'll come back in a couple of nights later. So I'm going to be gone the next few days. And she goes, "Dad, I miss you. I haven't seen you." And that breaks your heart whenever your daughter says this. But here's as I sat there and looked at it, I looked at her and go, "Baby, I've been right here. You're the one that has cheer early in the morning for school. You have competitive cheer. You're working all those things. You have your volunteer stuff. I mean, she's had a busy week, and it's exactly what you said. Our students are so busy, and I believe it's in many ways unfair. We're stealing their childhood. But I would tell you this, and I'm sure it's the same thing you tell your students: don't be a resume builder. Chase your passions, chase your interest, discover new things, and discover new things you may have never known you're interested in. And at the end of the day, you'll be even a greater student who happens to have a great resume.
Mhm. The resume will come organically.
More resume. So if you're listening to this and you're hearing, "Oh my gosh, it's so competitive," don't try to be a resume filler. Just chase after all the different opportunities that students like yours have a chance to be engaged in. And then naturally they'll find their passions. And naturally, at the end of the day, they're going to be even a stronger student with a greater sense of purpose. And they'll have a great resume.
Dynamite advice for anybody. Mark, jot that down for sure. All right. So one question that just popped into my head that you may have an answer to, you may not. So, you know, you're seeing all the things, circulating on social media and how these colleges are, being more vocal about changing their policies. And, I think Virginia Tech was the latest one that just said, hey, you know what? We're not super interested in your personal statement. We're going to use AI in some capacity. We're really going to hone in on your supplementals. And please, I'm going to put a disclaimer around that because, we are big advocates of we are going to write everything as if that is the most important thing that they have to read for your presentation. But knowing the ins and outs of admissions, and I know it was a few years ago, do you think that these teams are using some sort of AI, some sort of filtration system to be able to get through all of these applications? Because the last several years, these apps are jumping 50%, 100%, 150%. And just with the amount coming in, how are they able to manage all of this?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, John. And I think you speak to the problem perfectly. Limited staff on admissions, right? They have not seen any school will, I would argue, has not seen their staffing of their admissions office grow at the same rate that their applications have grown. Right. So there's some friction there, right? There's naturally friction of, okay, I still have the same amount of staff that has to read applications. Right. So what's happening? What's happening now? I believe that there probably is ways schools are looking at AI to review applications. You can't tell me they're not. I don't know. Is it a pilot? Is it an official thing? I have no idea. I can't speak firsthand to that. But you can't tell me that with all the experimentation going around AI, that college admissions teams aren't considering it, at least from a pilot point of view. Now, how are they considering it? I would argue probably the easiest way to consider it is by looking having AI look at the rigor of a transcript, the kinds of courses they're taking, their GPA, standardized test scores, some of those things that are much more objective in the approach than necessarily supplemental essays and personal statements that are much more subjective in how they're evaluated. But you can't tell me AI is not being used. I would not believe it across the board. Now there are going to remember the amazing thing about American higher education system is the diversity of the American higher education system. So people get asked questions of me and you all the time, and we always have to tell them it depends. So what
It
am I saying?
depends.
Every school is
Sure.
using AI? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There are some schools that are running from it like any other business and any other organization in the world. And there are other organizations that are embracing it and trying to figure out how to help them lean out of a very, very complicated and burdensome process. And then there's probably everything in between.
And this, I mean, we could have a whole segment on AI and
Yeah.
using it as a resource versus using it as a cheating tool. And that is just the tip of the iceberg as far as what we can go into that. But I would 100% agree with you that in some way, shape, or form, they're utilizing it somehow. Hopefully, like you said, it's on the objective side of things, and they're actually having the human element still being read, and finding that passion and not looking for keywords. But again, that's going to be one of those things that just continues to evolve, and we're going to have to keep an eye on it.
Exactly right. And you say another key point in American higher education, evolution, right?
Mhm.
Things are changing as we talk about in this show all the time, year to year. Everything is, we'll have to see what they do next year. And we see that in admissions practices, we see that in scholarship practices. It's once again
It
um,
all depends.
much more confusing. It makes it much more competitive. And that's why me and you are here to help families navigate that.
That's it. All right. So what I think would be unfair is so when you and we started our business, probably what, 18 months apart from each other,
Yeah, very
and
close.
very close. So I came on, I have one location, for the majority of, the first several years, I was a one-man show. You had a similar starting point, but talk to me about when you felt like you were ready to bring on probably the most important person in your life for many reasons,
Right.
and how that decision was able to make your brand explode.
Yeah. So the amazing person you're talking about is Stacy, my wife, and also known as the CEO, right? The
The
CEO.
boss.
He runs it all. We're blessed and fortunate to run a few businesses, and I was getting to the place in running those businesses that I didn't have the capacity to get the business, deliver the business, and operate the business. Like I couldn't do all three, right? The capacity just wasn't there. And I luckily convinced Stacy to jump on board. I said, I can go hire someone to run these and be the administrator of these. But there's no better administrator in the world than her. And so she decided to leave her C-suite position and jump on board. And uh, her gift is organizing things and strategically looking at things to scale them. And immediately Stacy was able to look at what we were doing from our class 101 business and be able to say, this is working here, why not there? And so whenever you scale, and I tell this to business owners all the time, whenever you scale, you have to be able to scale three things. You have to scale a system, you have to be able to scale your solutions, and you have to be able to scale people. You have to have people to run locations, right? You have to have people who can fill the need. And between our partnership with Class 101 and Stacy's abilities, have great systems, we have great solutions, and through relationships, we have great people, and that's where we've been able to grow into the prosper Frisco, Texas area, which is one of the fastest growing regions in the United States. And so that's why we always have the purpose, we always have the heart. But for us to go into another location, we have to know that there's those three things that can be in place and we can help us grow. And we're seeing, and if you just looked at the data, which she's an engineer, so she looks at the data, we had lots of interest, lots of relationships, and already we're serving some students in that area. So it's a natural place for us to grow.
And from again, a colleague up here, a friend, when she came on board, there was just a different element to
Oh,
you, a different element to the business. And I used the word explosion before, but when the boss came on board,
yeah.
lights out.
100%, 100%. She has a unique set of skills that is absolutely. I would encourage any business out there. You got to find someone who can operate at that level. You do not want to be the lid of your business, and I was the lid of our businesses. There's only so far I could take him because I believe my gifting and my expertise is in delivery and in sales, and not in operations, not in running things. But let me tell you something that's interesting. her, Stacy diving in and running our businesses and understanding that she needs to be in the delivery phase to understand the business, fell in love with college planning, fell in love with helping students and family navigate the complexities, navigate the competitiveness, navigate the costliness to help students access higher education. Because here's what Stacy and I have in common. We're both first generation college students. We both look back on our transition and realize, man, there were so many things we didn't know about that could have been something that made college less expensive and more affordable. Could have made our transition much smoother, and ultimately could have made even our college experience more successful. See, we're not only transitioning students to college in their career, we're also helping them setting them up to be more successful in college and in their career. So it's not just about the transition, it's about building skill sets and mindsets that'll pay off in college and their career later on. And that is what Stacy is just, she is just a champion of it, especially in all of our business, but especially in our Class 101 operations.
You're a lucky man.
Oh, in so many ways, you have no idea.
You're a lucky guy. She was actually the one. I'll never forget that conversation we had at our conference probably 2 years ago, where she was the one that kind of pushed us into this. Hey, you know what? You guys
Yeah.
talk probably too much.
Yeah.
So why don't we start to document this stuff? Because
Document the dialogue.
yeah,
That's Stacey's
yeah. So
all
that so
about.
she
Document the
she
dialogue.
is she is the one that kind of you know encouraged us to go into this. And now it's what been 14 episodes, 18 months later, and
Ask our wonderful producer Abby how many episodes we had, and the
Abby,
dozen.
you need to add one of those disclaimers at the bottom
Yeah,
in post production.
and
She's rolling
then
her eyes at me right now.
dozens of viewers we have each month. So yeah,
That's it. All right. So I've been grilling you. This is all amazing information for any listener for so many reasons. I have two questions left. The first is, you gave me the chance to talk about my, student moment. What was the most impactful story? What was the most impactful success? Share with us across your two locations. Was there that one like aha moment? Like if there was ever any doubt that you're doing the right thing?
oh man, that's great. I'm going to tell you the story of two extremes. Two Both students came in as underclassmen, probably, and they started early, which you should, right? Just to get you more position to compete. But they probably started as freshmen, eighth graders, somewhere in there. Both students had high achievement, high aspirations. One student came in wanting to, her dad went to Yale. She wanted to go to Yale. One of the other student, the other student, big engineering guy, extremely sharp in the same way, was looking at MIT, those different types of things. As they progressed through high school, they continued to have options. They continued to be extremely competitive. But it's at that place they went different paths. Student A, Student A made it. She was extremely competitive, and she applied to a variety of different schools. She made the necessary sacrifices to be competitive in the process because she knew what it would take. She applied to Yale, got admitted. She got applied to Dartmouth and got admitted. She got admitted to Wash U in St. Louis. She got admitted to Stanford. She got admitted to the
Ooh,
University of Florida, which is one of the most competitive schools in the country. And she got denied by the University of North Carolina. So this is where this world doesn't always make sense that she gets,
make it make sense.
yeah, make that one make sense, right? But that's okay. That's okay. And so Stacy and I are on the phone with her at 9 o'clock in the evening, 2 hours before she has to make a final decision to Yale and Stanford. And she's juggling that decision, and she is thriving and happy and living her best life at Yale.
And
Others
how cool is that? Sorry to interrupt you.
don't go.
The fact that you are a part of that decision making. It's
Yeah.
9 o'clock at night, probably on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
You two are celebrating as if it's your own kid because that's how much we have invested in this.
So awesome.
And that has to be the best feeling.
And I mean, you really can't tell a student what to do. We would never tell her what to do, but we just asked her some questions, and helped her find where she really wanted to be. And in no less of a way, I'm excited and proud of the other student, because the other student went through all of these things, and guess what he did, John? He decided he wasn't ready to go to college. He decided he was kind of entrepreneurial. He had been taking some classes at the technology center locally here in Norman, and developing some skills there. And I don't want to go too much into his story, but here's what I'll tell you. He's thriving as an entrepreneurial guy in Oklahoma, and doesn't have a college degree and is not signed up to go to college, because everyone's journey is different.
Everybody's journey is different.
Here's the rest of the story, though. I was like, oh my gosh, because this was earlier on in my college planning days. I'm like, oh my gosh, the parents are going to be so disappointed and so forth. And I helped him and his family navigate that decision that he wasn't ready to go to college yet. So he graduates. His younger sister the next year becomes an eighth grader. Her mom calls me and says, when can we get her started on college planning? And I'm like, we would love to get started with her. I was scared that you were disappointed. She goes, Rennie, she goes, your process through the college planning process helped our son find his perfect path forward. But it also ultimately saved us thousands of dollars, but
Tens of
didn't have to
thousands.
figure that out through his freshman year of college. See, everyone's past. That's what I love about and we have every student in between. That's what I love about those stories, is because both of those, in my mind, are great successes of people finding exactly where they need to be. And guess what? No one in my mind, neither one in my mind is better than the other, because they both found their purpose, and they're both extremely happy at where they're at right now.
Man, man, oh man. I mean, it's, the name of our business and the branding of our business. Obviously, we are targeting, students taking the steps to go to college.
Yeah.
But kind of how you said with the resume, if you follow your interest and you do the right exploration and you do the research, the resume happens naturally. The
That's
same
right.
kind of thing with, that story you shared. If you explore these options and you figure out what's for you and your strengths and weaknesses, the college path ends up being something that happens naturally.
That's right. I mean, what he figured out is he was looking at college options, but also looking at career options, because we need to connect the two in the work we do, right?
Mhm.
You realize, hold on a second, maybe I don't need to do this. Maybe
Yeah.
my best route is to go out into the industry a little bit, start doing a little bit of work, then maybe get my associate's degree in business, that I can connect to this special talent that I have, and I can become entrepreneurial, which is my goal in the end of the day. So he found his path, he found his way.
I will be the first to tell any student, any parent, yeah, my business thrives around helping kids go to college, but I will be the first one to tell you it's not meant for everybody. And attending college does not give you a guaranteed stamp of success.
But here's
It,
what I tell any high school student and any mom and any dad. If we can prepare your student to be competitive in college for admissions, we're going to be preparing him for any options he or she looks for, right? So if we're competitive to transition to college, we're prepared, we're competitive to enter the workforce. We're competitive to enlist in the military. We're competitive, right? And then we're not locked in. We have options, and that is always one of the most important things we can give students and families as they're 17, 18 years old, they're having to make these life-defining decisions, is to give them options.
skills and options.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Love it. All right, last question.
Yes, sir.
Your one daughter's junior, one daughter sophomore,
One daughter's a junior, one daughter's a freshman.
one daughter junior, one daughter freshman. Are you their college planner?
Heck no. No,
I had a feeling you were going to say that. Tell me more.
no way. Stacy's not their college planner. Heck no. You know, because here, I think it's such an important story for people to hear. You know, we practice what we preach. And there's a couple of things of the heck no why. Is it because Stacy and I don't have the information and the expertise to be college planners for our daughters? Well, I would argue clearly not. We do this every day with every type of student. But the reality is this: is that I want to stay dad, and Stacy wants to stay mom. And the other reality is this: is there's so much value in finding a good fit, not just finding a great college planner, and finding a good fit in an ongoing relationship to where both Ainsley and Evie have another mentor in their life that's encouraging them, that's challenging them, and speaking into their life. And, yes, it's true. They ultimately say the same things we tell our daughters, and our daughters hear it. See, it's not mom and dad saying it; it's Tracy saying it, it's Catherine saying it. But at the same time, I believe with all my heart that we can't do enough in our world today to surround our teenage men and women with great mentors and role models. So in our operation, just like I know what you try to do as well, John, is we our goal is to be good mentors. Our goal is to help liberate and bring the best out of these young men and women. We just happen to be college planners.
That needed to be heard. I had a feeling we didn't talk about this prior to. I didn't. I assumed that you or Stacy were not the college planners because
No, no.
no matter how smart you are, no matter how successful you are, you're still mom and dad. And to them, you know very little about
Uh-huh.
anything, I would assume.
No,
My
absolutely.
6-year-old, my 6-year-old already thinks I'm
Yeah.
good, but
And they just need that other person they have access to talk to in their life. You can't, I'll just argue with anybody. Being a teenager today is much more difficult than it was when I was a teenager. It's just hard. And, even if it's not finding a college planner for your teenage student, find somebody where you can intentionally do some social engineering that is going to have a positive, encouraging voice in your young person's life. It's so important, in my opinion, to have those people. Yes, they'll have teachers. Yes, they'll have coaches, all those different types of things. But with some intentionality, make sure that your young person, your teenager, has someone they trust and whose opinion they value. And I think that's just one of the most important thing we can do for teenagers that are just really, really hard part of time of their life.
if there's one episode that I hope explodes, it's this one because you're dropping absolute gold and it's been a pleasure, brother.
John, I
Thank
appreciate
you. Every time we talk, whether it's on camera or off camera, you teach me something, you inspire me. I know you're inspiring a lot of others. So check this one out, people, for sure.